What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Norris here. I got another album to react to where I go over the most recent hip-hop albums of 2023, 2024, mostly 2024. So today I got a new album here to react to. The new album by the Suicide Boys, New World Depression. This is an album they released about a month ago. I believe they released it in July. This is a rap duo from New Orleans, Louisiana. The duo mix up of Scrim and Ruby the Rose. They're cousins. They've known each other basically their whole lives. They're a very famous rap duo. They've been around for quite a bit now, making most of their fame out of SoundCloud. That's where they really blew up and got the worldwide attention that they have today. They're very well known for their controversial takes on like life and depression. You look at their name, Suicide Boys, like they've got a lot of hate because of their whole style, talking a lot about suicide, depression, and a lot of like dark stuff, a lot of violent and kind of like horrorcore lyrics in a sense, kind of giving you like old school Eminem vibes just a bit. Honestly, listening to them and hearing about them before, because they're not really a typical rap duo that I would listen to even like when I was younger. Not sure really why, just never really got around to them. They're one of those crews that generates a lot of controversy because of their style of music. They're probably more comparable to guys like 3 6 Mafia and Raider Clan with like Space Ghost Perp and Denzel Curry, kind of like a similar style. I thought a little bit of old school Eminem, the way their whole style, the way they rap. This most recent album, it kind of gives off 3 6 Mafia, Raider Clan vibes. I'm gonna go over a few of their songs to give you guys an idea of how it sounds like. Then I'm gonna take it apart, try to give you guys my viewpoint based off how it sounds, production wise, lyricism, stylistically, how it sounds as a whole, as an album, like how strong it is as an album. So I'm gonna play you guys a few of the songs off the album, then I'm gonna go over the album, break it down, give you guys a rating right afterwards. So this is all on SoundCloud. I'm playing their album through SoundCloud. The first song I'll play, this one's ccalled Thorns.
When they come me out enough, you'll never understand it. Keep the strap from me just in case I'm ever stranded. Ready to up the side, now you looking like a lost.
This one's Us versus Them.
You go, my cross that I bear. Drop my kids off in that hole cause I pay well for that daycare. Knock, knock, use that. Scapegoat with that instead. Talk 200,000 and my bitch still on welfare.
This next song I'll play, this one's Burgundy. So this last song I'll play, this one's Lone Wolf, Hysteria. The Suicide Boys, New World Depression, brand new album 2024. So after listening to this one, a little bit different than what I expected. The Suicide Boys, they're not a group that I grew up on. One of those groups that I always thought they got the music and everything. I just never really got around to listening to them for some reason. There's a handful of rappers and artists that are like that basically. I think their music's great, but I never really got a chance to like really get into their music. I listen to a lot of different artists, so that could be the biggest reason. So this isn't the first piece of music I heard from them. I've heard music from them before. After listening to this album, it's way different than I expected and a lot better than I expected for sure. Like I said, they're probably one of the most controversial rap groups of all time, maybe. Very controversial with like the name of their crew and how the world kind of perceives them with like their whole dark, depressing style basically. The album doesn't really give off that. What you think the album's gonna sound like isn't really the same when you actually listen to it, which is pretty cool. The beats on here I thought were very well polished, very well put together. They use a bunch of different producers on the album. I think they dip into it, they'll kind of assist the producers when it comes to like their beats, but they got like a actual like team of producers working on the album for them. I think they did a good job at making the beats in a way where like it takes away from the darkness of their style. So like the Suicide Boys, like you just listen to like the name of their group, that already tells you how dark their music's gonna be. But the production on here is done well in a way where it kind of takes your mind off of that. It takes away from like the dark content that they'll use through their lyrics. Like their lyrics are very, very violent, very dark most of the time, right? They'll say stuff that's not depressing or not violent at times, where they're kind of just giving you a gem. Or sometimes the lyrics can be positive. Maybe I say like 85% of their lyrics is dark and violent and has something to do with like horrorcore in some sort of sense. I think the production was made well in a way where it takes your mind off of that. It puts you in a situation where you're just listening to great beats. All the beats on this album do that basically. That was a very unexpected part for me. I didn't expect the beats to do that. I thought I was gonna get 13 tracks of just straight emo raps, man. That's basically what I thought I was gonna get, because again, this is an album by the Suicide Boys. I'm not saying that because of the name of their group. That's actually their style throughout the years. Their lyrical content has always been about that. The production kind of takes your mind off of that, and it's just great beats. You're listening to a list of great beats, man. Very well put together beats, very well polished. The drums sound very clean. You're getting some different stuff out of the beats. A lot of fresh ideas from the beats that I don't hear typically from other artists. So in terms of production, man, I'm giving this one a high rating. I think it's like almost an A+ in terms of beats. The raps match the level of the beats. For the most part, I think the album was very well made. The music's very enjoyable. Like I said, the production's done very well, but they also did a good job on the vocals too. Because of the group that we're talking about here, it wasn't surprising to hear how violent the lyrics are throughout the album. So it's not like a surprise to me. I kind of expected it to be like that. It wasn't really like that completely throughout the album. I think most of their music from the past has been that, where it's straight up horrorcore the entire way and they're just saying a bunch of crazy stuff throughout the songs. Maybe because they've grown a little bit, because now they're in their 30s, they're a little bit older, they have like kids and like wives now. I'm pretty sure they're a little more mature than what they used to be, and you sort of hear that throughout the music, throughout their lyrics especially. I think they did a good job at not just giving you depression and like dark times and being emotionally unstable, and you know, like they don't just give you that straight up. They're giving you bars where it has nothing to do with any of that, and it's just like a fresh line that you never really heard before. They do that a bunch of times throughout the album, which is like a good thing. Makes it unpredictable and something that I never really expected. I thought the whole album was gonna be straight up violent lyrics, and they did a good job at balancing it out throughout the album to kind of give you a fresher sound than what you're used to hearing from the Suicide Boys. I thought was really cool. Like I said earlier, I hear a lot of 3 6 Mafia and Raider Clan influence, like Denzel Curry, Space Ghost Perp. I hear a lot of that throughout the album, which is really cool because those are artists that I enjoy listening to. So it's cool to hear it through their music. A lot of Juicy J, Project Pat, heavy influence of that in their music for sure. And even in the production and the beat making, it's like the producers are heavily influenced by Space Ghost Perp, 3 6 Mafia, that type of sound, and they do it the right way. It's not like they're just copying Space Ghost Perp. Kind of take that style and translate it in their like own way, with their like own style. The one thing too, they used one of Lil Wayne's old songs. They're from New Orleans, so Lil Wayne might be their favorite rapper. I would not be surprised. They used one of Lil Wayne's songs back in the day, the I Feel Like Dying, that sample. They take that sample and they make a whole beat out of that and a whole track out of that. I don't think that's their best track, but I think they did a good job at sampling that Lil Wayne song and making it their own. I think they did a really clever job at doing that. The track itself isn't the best, but I just think it's cool that they sampled Lil Wayne. Not a lot of bad stuff to say about the album, surprisingly, man. Honestly, before listening to the album, I thought it was just gonna be like mad depressing and a bunch of lyrics where they're just talking about a bunch of violent stuff, man, and just saying a bunch of crazy stuff, and that super graphic lyrics that you'll hear from, I keep saying old school Eminem, but old school Eminem, I'd say maybe from like Odd Future, Tyler the Creator, when he was younger. That kind of style, but like not really the same, trying to like create shock value through their lyrics. I thought the whole album was gonna straight up be that, but they surprised me, and it wasn't just that. They were able to mix it in with a lot of different styles of like writing their verses, other styles of music. They add a little bit of singing, a little bit of electronic influence in some of the beats. Yeah, man, which I thought was really cool. Like I said, man, it kind of threw me off. It's something I didn't expect, which made the album experience a lot better for me. Even though they do have moments where they are getting pretty violent with their lyrics, they're making a good metaphor and simile out of using the dark reference, right? They're not just trying to like create shock value and disgust you with what they're saying, make you feel some type of way with what they're saying, right? They're actually being unique and clever with it when it comes to their lyrics, and actually giving you similes and metaphors. They're closer to punchlines, actual hip-hop punchlines, to make you like remember, rather than just creating shock value and try to make you feel sick or anxious or upset by what they're saying or scare you. Or they're actually coming up with lines to make you like remember and yo, that's a line. There's many examples of that throughout the album, which I really enjoyed. There wasn't really a lot of bad things to say about the album. The only thing I'd say that's bad about the album, I think like the first half was very, very strong, and it's probably the highlight of the album. The first, I'd say, 6 songs of the album. I think after the 6 songs, it's like the same level of skill and greatness, but I think it gets a little bit repetitive in terms of what they're talking about and the style of the beat. The lyrics are still strong towards the end of the album, and I think the production's still strong. It kind of just gets repetitive. They don't put the same effort in terms of trying to make the song as unique and fresh as possible as they do with the first half of the album. I think the first 6 songs are very fresh compared to what you're used to hearing from the Suicide Boys, and then the second half is the same thing. They got a lot of unique and freshness in the music, but it gets a little more repetitive, a little more on the generic side, where they're sort of trying to like make radio play like slightly club bangers, electronic club bangers in a sense, while trying to mesh it with their like southern horrorcore rap style that you'll hear a lot from like 3 6 Mafia and like Raider Clan. So it's like a mix of that with that like generic popish, electronic-ish type of sound that will make it safe to play in clubs and like on the radio. So they sort of dip into that just a bit towards the end of the album, where the first half of the album's more like underground. You wouldn't be able to play this type of stuff on the radio, and I'm talking about the first half of the album. The second half, it gets a little more generic and repetitive. Songs are still very strong, but like I feel like they could have made songs a little closer to like the first half of the album. Like Burgundy, I thought was a good song. The first song, Lone Wolf, Hysteria, that's really good too. Thorns is another one. If they made the second half of the album closer to the sound of those songs, the rating would have been so much higher. But that's it though. Besides that, I thought the album was really good, man. Better than I thought it was gonna be before listening to it, because of the name of the group. I thought it was just gonna be like a horrorcore rap album the entire way. Sonically, the album was made very, very well. The production might be the highlight of the album, but they did a pretty good job on the lyrical side too. There's definitely some lines here and there that are memorable, that are a lot stronger than what you're hearing from most rappers these days. So that's basically all I gotta say about it, man. Not a lot of bad stuff. Very strong album, man. Very strong. So in terms of a rating, I'm giving this one an 8.6 out of 10. It would have been in the 9s if the first half was similar to the second half of the album. A little more consistency towards the end would have got it into the 9s, in my opinion. So 8.6 out of 10. Another album reaction, the Suicide Boys, New World Depression. Let me know down below if you give it a higher rating, a lower rating. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. I got plenty more content coming, more music on the way. I got the new song Vanta Black. That song's dropping for September 4th. First song of September. Make sure you guys check that song out. Magneto is the most recent song that I have out. The new mixtape, 15 track, #INDICA, that's set for October 4th. Once again, I'm Looper Norris. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys stay tuned for more episodes, more content, more music on the way. Yeah, man, I'm out of here. Peace.